Okay, taking a look into the effects of subsidies, a nice explanatory set of PowerPoints in the form of a little pocket book of knowledge. Well, first thing we need to do is define the subsidy. Define subsidy, find a nice definition for subsidy. Our prior knowledge is shifts of supply curves to the right, outwards, and with this we must have some idea of the concept consumer and producer surplus. Again, a diagram will speak to us, those of us who know the theory and terminology of economics, but it will only speak to those who understand the language. So we must be explicit when applying our diagrams. Well, first thing, our syllabus is looking basically at three reasons why a government might apply a subsidy. One is to lower the price of essential goods to the consumer. In South Africa, they have government bread. This is bread that is subsidized to be affordable for all. Number two, second reason is to guarantee supply of products needed by an economy. And the third reason is to enable producers to compete with overseas trade and or protect domestic industry. At the moment, currently in the news, is China accusing Australia of heavily subsidizing their coal industry and other industries to the extent that they're actually dumping coal on the Chinese market. And China is taking them to the World Trade Organization with a dispute about dumping. Follow the press, or if you're watching this video at a later stage, then look back at the events. All right, so as usual, to use the diagram, you must know the theory. To apply theory and diagram, you must know how to do this. Theory is not always fact. Theory is not always reality. Theory, however, is necessary. So the diagram shows nothing to those who are ignorant of the ways of economics. Just like a beautiful sign is no use to me if I am traveling along a freeway in a country where I do not know the language of the signage. Little sketch I made myself there. Observe the wrinkles. Let me get my wrinkles in there. Not quite wrinkly like the picture. More of a little Harry Potter wrinkle, but you get the picture. So know the face and face the know. The line of blood. So, subsidy diagram. Let us build that diagram. Well, start with your supply and demand in equilibrium at P1, Q1. And add a S-curve, this time to the right, and call it S plus subsidy. I am in the dark. The diagram is simple. It is elegant in its simplicity. It is said that the sky is blue. Subsidy 2. I couldn't think of a quote, so I am rhyming. So, a subsidy has been applied, and this shifts the S-curve to the right to S plus subsidy. You will observe I'm missing the arrow denoting the shift. I won't do that again. So as you can see, the price has fallen from P1 and the quantity demanded has risen from Q1 to Q2. My hand is sore, so I should have put an arrow there as well. So while the diagram looks elegant in its simplicity, I feel it is not so simple. What do I need to remember? Well, I need to remember how it is applied to the various stakeholders. Well, obviously for the consumer, it is good. You can afford more quantity at a lower price. What a bonus. So as you can see in the diagram, subsidy, missed the shift line, a little arrow for shift there. Subsidy shifts the supply curve to the right, and we get a rise in quantity demand from Q1 to Q2, and a fall in price from P1 to P2. This will mean there is a change in consumer expenditure. This one I used a highlighter, and please note, if you look at Q2, you must extend upwards to where we meet the original supply curve. For the government in a unit subsidy is giving, let us call it the producer, X amount of subsidy per unit produced. So the production is taking place on the original supply curve S. So I go from Q2, I go to the equilibrium, I go further up until I meet the original S curve, and then I project onto the price cost y-axis. And you will get the shaded area as follows. Why rectangular in shape? Because revenue is price times quantity. Now, if any of you are higher level, you would have to or could be asked to calculate this if you were given numbers on your curves. Super. Well, I don't know about you. I'm feeling happier now, much happier. Let me bask in some happiness. The happiness rained down upon me. Of course, subsidies are not all about happiness. When we come to evaluation, is it worth subsidizing? Well, let's have a little look. Similarly, to find the cost of the subsidy, we must go to Q2, extend past the intersection until we meet the original supply curve. And then I can make a nice rectangle, as I have shaded in the beautiful pink of my highlighter, and that would be the cost of the subsidy. This is an explanatory video. I'm taking you to AO2, but obviously, if given an evaluative question, you could say, is it worth it? There's an opportunity cost in giving a subsidy for this particular product. What of the short run? What of the long run? In the long run, might it make our industry inefficient? Well, I feel happier about subsidy, I must say. Okay, let's have a little look, a couple of minutes looking at the beautiful subsidy diagram, elegant in its simplicity. While I'm looking at this, I'm feeling sad, for I did not show the arrow to the right, which denotes a shift from S to S and subsidy. Yes, let's not talk about this any further. Well, we all know what's happening here. S did shift to S plus subsidy. The subsidized quantity was Q2 at the lower price of P2. And to find the change in the producer revenue, we went upwards from Q2 and we extrapolated. Is that the right word? I don't know. I joined the little dots until I came to the original S curve. And I realized it's a very good thing for the producer. He's getting extra of revenue. And finally, ending off, the subsidy has been applied. There has been a shift outwards to S and subsidy. The price has fallen from P1 to P2. and the quantity demanded in the market has risen from Q1 to Q2. Except what is the cost? Well, go upwards past the point of intersection of D and S plus subsidy to get to the original S curve, and you can see the cost is by that shaded amount that is shaded in pink. Thank you.